What's going on, YouTube? So in the world of flagship luxury SUVs, two of the best are your German offerings, the BMW X7 and Mercedes GLS. However, there's new competition hitting the market. From a startup, this is Li Auto, and this is their flagship L9 luxury SUV, which is designed specifically with the X7 in mind. So, is this a sci-fi X7 killer? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, before we get started here, I just want to go ahead and mention that this vehicle is not currently on sale in the US. Obviously, a lot of our audience members are residing in the US, but a lot of people are not, and this is on sale in some other markets. We were invited here by DCar Studio, a review channel basically based out of China, and they have a collection of Chinese vehicles that they imported to the US, which allows people like us to come and get a first-hand experience with a vehicle that is not normally accessible to us here in the US market for a nice unbiased look. Now, with that being said, let's talk about what we have here with the exterior. Now, obviously, this goes for a very different look than the BMW X7, where that one has a big, bold, and brash grille up here in the front. This goes for very smooth, simple, and minimalistic. Most of the grille is going to be sealed off, but down here in the bottom is where you're going to get the airflow in to the engine. And then you'll notice up top you'll have a big light bar. This is, again, just kind of a nice, simple element that goes all the way across. Notice that this is one seamless piece. There's no division at all whatsoever within this. Now, down below, this is the headlight unit itself. These are obviously projector LEDs for both your low and your high beam, and then you've got your turn signal indicator located right there. This does have an air suspension, so you can change the height as well. Now, moving on to our wheels, we've got the 21-inch alloys on board. This is a multi-spoke arrangement. It also has these kind of arrow inserts going on. I think it's a overall quite nice look. Obviously, the wheel arches here are going to be finished in the body color. Little silver accent here, it disguises a camera. There's a lot of cameras on this vehicle for sure, as you can see. And as we come to the mirrors, obviously these are going to be fully loaded with all the things you expect from a flagship luxury SUV.
Now here at the side, if you're going to compete with things like a BMW X7 and Mercedes-Benz GLS, you have to be quite large. And indeed, this Li Auto L9 is. It's about 205 inches in length, which places it very similar to those two products. Now, as far as some design touches, we have some chrome around our window surrounds. Interestingly enough, we actually do not have roof rails at the top. Now, as we head around to the rear design of this model, you will once again notice that kind of more tasteful approach than some of the flagships that we have in the US market. It's going to be pretty simplistic, so we have just a spoiler up here at the top. We do have a wiper integrated underneath, and then we have our Li Auto branding. A full-length light bar going across the back, and then as far as the unit itself, it is going to be full LED, so you have an LED brake light, turn signal, and reverse lights, the nice amber color. And then dropping down to the lower fascia, we do not have any exhaust outlets, and we're not officially sure about the tow rating. It has not been tested for the US market. Now, flagship 3 rows are commonly used for road trips, and the good thing about this is it has a very long range from its gasoline engine as well as battery pack. We're sitting at about 877 miles of range, so if you're going to drive that far, it's good that they are including all of your active safety systems as standard equipment. Additionally, this vehicle is very advanced with things like a LiDAR up in the front that allows for some really cool technologies. You'll see a little bit more of that on the inside when we take a look at the head-up display. But speaking of the inside, there is a lot to dive in there, so let's get to it. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. But the real fun is inside, so let's go ahead and hop in. First, we'll take a look at the key fob. It's a very small and simple looking key fob with just a couple touch buttons here. And then we'll kind of come on up to the vehicle here. You see it does have the pop-out door handles. And take a look inside at this interior. So obviously a lot of technology is going on inside of this interior, a lot of luxury. And where that all starts is at the seats. So let's begin with that. What you have on board is a genuine Napa leather seat. It's really soft and supple. As you can see, you have cool details such as this nice pillow attached to the headrest as well. And these seats are very, very comfortable. They also have a lot of tricks up their sleeve. So obviously, they're power adjusting. You've got all these different adjustments here, but you also have massaging abilities. And there's even a mode called camp mode where you can take this seat, fold it all the way down, it will touch the back seat, and then you've got this one full surface here where you can completely sleep. So, and the vehicle will keep running, be able to give you heat and stuff like that, and just give you the ultimate camping experience. But let's go ahead and climb on in. Now this does have some running boards, although the ride height drops down when you're in parks low enough that it's super easy to get inside, and it also has soft closed doors as well. Now let's look around at the overall cabin materials inside of this vehicle. Obviously this is our very first time seeing anything from this brand new brand, so we'll see how it stacks up. Over here on our door trim, we're going to have a lot of leather, really over pretty much all the surfaces. It's even going to continue down here to the extreme lower portion. That's very nice. Simple door handle arrangement here, although this is made of plastic. I don't care for that as much. We do have real metal speaker grills though. Nice leather covered dashboard all through here. More of that runs through here, and it's going to be nicely padded all along our center console. This color actually kind of reminds me of BMW's cognac color scheme. Now as far as firing it up, there's no traditional push button start. You're just going to put your foot on the brake, and then when you shift gears, that's when it will completely fire up. Now jumping right in here, let's begin with our gauge cluster. Obviously this is something that I've not seen on any vehicles in America. We actually have the cluster effectively here on the steering wheel itself. So this is kind of a small display, but it is a touchscreen actually, and if you punch that, you can change a lot of different options. So we have things like our suspension, our drive modes, stuff like that. If I touch over here, I can change it between electric, gas, and hybrid drive modes, and it's pretty cool overall being right there. Obviously that keeps this nice and clear for good visibility, and you have a large head-up display up there at the top. Now, Mason was kind of talking about this a little bit at the beginning, but when I go into drive here, you're going to see that you've got all these different cars that actually kind of appear on the display itself. That's because this LiDAR can completely map the road and all the cars on it in great detail and put it right here in the HUD. I've never seen anything like this before. It is super, super cool. You can see that CR-V kind of driving by there. You can even see that car parked behind the wall. Absolutely, really, really cool. It's the first vehicle we've ever driven with functional LiDAR. Now, as we take a look at the steering wheel, interesting design on board, kind of squared off here. You do have physical buttons for some of the main functions right there. The wheel itself is power tilt and telescoping, like so. Now, as far as storage is concerned, we've got quite a lot of it. Opening up our center console here, nice felt-lined storage cubby. You can fit a little bit of stuff in there, but most of your storage is going to be located up here. So we have dual wireless phone charging pads right through there, and then a giant center pass-through where you can stick just about anything you're going to want through there. Now you kind of saw earlier, but the shifter is just a small electronic style shifter. Pull down for drive, that same visualization will appear right there as well. When we go into reverse, you're going to see our really nice looking 360-degree camera system. We've got a lot of different views. You saw there's a ton of cameras on the outside. We can also go into this 3D view, and you know, BMW and Mercedes are really good at doing these 3D views, but this one here is really, really fast and slick as well. And just press the end right there for park. Now, we've got a dual screen arrangement here, and this is really where most of the rest of the interior functions are going to be located. So let's kind of dig into some of the key things. I'll start by mentioning climate controls. That's down here on the bottom part. You can just adjust the temperature through here. This is a 3-zone automatic setup. You've got a lot of different controls, guys, so just take a look there. You can see heated and ventilated seats for first and second row, heated third row seats, All that stuff is accessible right up here in this display. You have fragrance. You can turn on your massage through there. Like I said, just a lot of stuff. Overall, this system would make iDrive look like a piece of cake. There's a lot of functions inside of this system. Now, if I kind of minimize that, you'll see over here, we've got some additional functions. This is where we can like pull up our camera system. You have navigation, of course. Here's all your different vehicle settings. So there's a lot of things you can change. We'll kind of go through some of this while we're driving, but you can, adjust things like the air suspension, how firm it is, things like that. And you've got, again, just a ton of different settings located inside of this. By the way, these displays are 15.7 inches each. And then this one here on the right-hand side is your passenger display. As you can see, this is primarily used for entertainment. So you've got a lot of different things down here that you can choose from. This is an imported vehicle, so we have like some Chinese movies up on the display right now. And it looks like you can also adjust their climate from over here inside of that display. Now, one of the cool things about this vehicle is that it has AI inside of it. So you actually have cameras that are looking at you, so you can point at different things like the windows or the sunroof, things like that, and say, close this, open this, things like that. I don't know the language, so I'm not going to be able to speak to the vehicle, but it's really, really cool that you can just kind of casually be like, open this, open that, close that. It's pretty cool, and that's going to be using this camera up here. And if you don't, want that, you can just close that up. That way your privacy is protected. Now, obviously, a high-end interior is not complete without having a high-end audio system. This has a 22-speaker sound system, and let's give it a sample right now. All right, overall, you can tell it's a very powerful sounding sound system. Really, you feel that bass. It's very bass heavy. And actually, they call it a 4D sound system because it actually can vibrate your seats to make you feel the sound in addition to the overall surround sound experience. Now, up above, we have a auto dimming mirror, just some lighting up here at the top. And then you'll notice in the roof that we're going to have a dual panel panoramic sunroof setup.
Well, sitting back here in the Li Auto L9 is incredibly, incredibly nice. Now, there's a lot to talk about, so just bear with me here. I do want to go ahead and talk about space first. So we do have some translated numbers here. We're looking at about 41 inches of legroom and about 42 inches of headroom. Guys, there is a ton of space back here. There is so much headroom, and there is a ridiculous amount of legroom. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", and I'm 5'9". We are sitting at a full 11 inches of additional knee space. My feet can also easily slide up underneath of the seat. So it is incredibly comfortable. Also, I do want to point out you get standard captain's chairs, and not just standard captain's chairs, that's, normal. This has power adjusting captain's chairs here in the back. You'll see all of those controls here on the side physically rendered. I do like that they're physical controls, so you can easily, slide your seat forward and back as well as recline it to add additional comfort. As you can see, I'm reclining it right now, and it goes back a really good distance, and I even have a pillow built in, so this is one of the nicest rear seats I've ever sat in, and I sincerely mean that. Now, in addition to that, we have heating, ventilation, and massage here in the second row. So right now I'm getting a massage, and it's a very good massage at that. Now, as far as features here in the center, we have two cup holders. This is kind of the control panel for our climate system. This is also where you can activate your heated and ventilated back seats. Two USB-C ports. Down below that is another cool feature. So you'll notice that we have this button right here that will eject a heating and cool box. So depending on what mode you want it on, right now it's in the cool setting. You can keep your drinks nice and cold. You can also toggle that on, and that will actually keep warm drinks warm. So really nice stuff going on there. Not done yet, though, because there's more. We have a big, gigantic, power-popping down 15.7-inch rear seat entertainment screen. And not only does this rear seat entertainment screen look fantastic, just like the front screens, it also has some really cool interactivity. Now, as far as how you interact with this, you actually use gestures with your hand. So it has the camera, of course, that's monitoring it. As you can see, it's tracking my hand as I move it. Very cool. And if you want to make a selection, you just kind of make a fist, and you can easily scroll between. This is actually really quite cool because you don't even have to move your hand close to the screen at all. You can just do it right from your sitting position. Very cool stuff. Now, there's also some special features on the passenger side as well, so I'm just going to go ahead and move over seats so we can demonstrate that. So first of all, we do have a pop-out tray table, so you can work here in the second row, kind of like a Rolls-Royce. We don't even see that on things like an X7 or GLS. Additionally, we can, power slide the passenger seat up and out of the way because, of course, if you're here in the rear, this is honestly kind of like an executive experience. And that will allow us to do things like open up our full leg rest that we have here in the right side. Now, do be aware it's just on the passenger side, but oh my, this is very, very comfortable, guys. This is one of the nicest rear seats I've ever been able to spend time in, and there are just so many features. And let's go ahead and climb into the third row. Before we get back there, I do want to point out there's even a cool little leg rest that will pop out of the front seat as well. I missed that button. There are a lot of buttons, so it takes a little bit of getting used to, that's for sure. Now, let's go ahead and climb into the third row. Now, it's pretty easy to get back here because we do have the captain's chair arrangement, so you can just slide in between the two seats. And as far as the space is concerned, now, Li Auto is saying about 36 inches of headroom back here and about 31 inches of legroom. I think those numbers seem pretty accurate. Like I said, I'm 5'9" for reference. The thigh support is actually quite good. I'd say this is very, very similar to something like a BMW X7. It's not the best third row. It's not as good as an Escalade, but it also is quite good. We have room for my feet underneath the seat. Also, the third row is going to be heated. We have physical buttons for it right here on the side. And then we also have this button, which will power recline. As far as how this lands on our third row rating scale, I'm going to have to say this is fit for adults because we also have vents coming out of the ceiling. And now let's go ahead and see how much cargo space you're going to have. Well, unfortunately, we don't have official numbers from Li Auto. This, of course, like we said at the very beginning, is not being sold in the U.S. market yet, so we don't have all the facts and figures. However, let's go ahead and just talk about it. As far as behind the third row seats, I would expect that to be about 10 to 15 cubic feet of space. If I fold the seats down, which I can easily do with this button right there, that's going to power fold them down. I would say that's more like 30 to 40 cubic feet, and with all the seats folded down, I would say you're sitting at a very, very similar figure to something like a BMW X7. Now, as far as other buttons, this button will allow you to adjust the air suspension from the back here in case you need to lower it to load something in. And we even have cool things like a power outlet in the third row, which I noticed a little bit later on. Now, I do want to point out there is not a front, so this is going to be the only storage that you'll find in this model. But I'm sure you guys are very curious to take it out for a spin, so let's go ahead and get to it. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the Li Auto L9. Now, of course, there is a ton to talk about when it comes to this vehicle and its driving experience. We'll be discussing a lot of that, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading. But first, let's go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right. Nice acceleration there in this model. Now, one of the cool things about this, we haven't talked too much about it so far, but this actually has what is known as an e-rev powertrain. And this is the first time that Mason and I have been able to experience an e-rev. There's going to be some that should be on sale in the US soon, but they're not on sale yet. So this is our first hands-on with this type of powertrain. And to kind of explain that, basically it has an engine and it has an electric powertrain. But unlike a traditional plug-in hybrid powertrain, this actually just uses the engine to power the battery as a generator. And that allows you to keep on driving after the battery itself is depleted. So in terms of the components of this, we've got a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. The battery pack itself is about 52 kilowatt hours. All that together is going to give you really tremendous range ability.
Yeah, the range on this is coming in at 877 miles, according to Li Auto. That certainly is a ridiculously long range. I mean, I don't know anyone that can go without stopping for 877 miles. So certainly that takes like the range anxiety thing out of, question really. So, a lot of the EVs for sale here in the US, at least in the luxury 3-row space, are going 300 miles on a charge. Maybe if you're Rivian, you can go up to about 400 miles on a charge, and that's under good circumstances. So understandably, a lot of people don't like to road trip EVs in this segment, and this really kind of solves that issue. So certainly it's an interesting experience to be able to, finally get behind the wheel of one of these e-revs. Like Drew was saying, it is a 52 0.3 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack. It is capable of going up to 115 miles on just pure electric power as well. So you can plug it in, charge it up, and go 115 miles on just the electric components. But like Drew said, that engine will act as kind of a generator for it to extend it out a lot further.
Yeah, overall performance of this is quite nice for a vehicle this size. This is, by the way, 449 horsepower overall, and your 0 to 60 is right around 5 seconds. It's just a little over 5 seconds, so you definitely have really good performance on board for a luxury 3-row SUV. It's really nice, quiet, smooth as you accelerate. And we'll try out some of the other powertrain modes here in just a sec. So we were in the hybrid mode earlier. Now I put it into the fuel mode. So yeah, that's the interesting thing about an e-rev, is the fact that since the engine is being used as just a generator, it really doesn't feel any different at all. You still have that driving sensation because you're being powered by an electric motor, or dual electric motors, I should say, just giving you that traditional electric vehicle feel. So there's not that distinct difference between when you're in EV power and when you're in gas power.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, we actually do own a plug-in hybrid, and I would say that this is almost kind of like the opposite of that in a sense. So it is definitely a very different experience from what we have in the U.S. as hybrids and plug-in hybrids and those types of things. This is definitely a unique experience. Now, talking about some of the just more regular things like ride quality. As we've been driving along here, I have been nothing but impressed so far. This Li Auto L9 really does a fantastic job when it comes to its ride quality. Now, we do have an air suspension on board. There's actually quite a lot of different settings for the air suspension. You can see it right now. It's called the Magic Carpet Air Suspension 3.0. Right now we're in the comfort setting, and I mean, these roads are really, really rough, guys, and this thing is absolutely soaking up all the road imperfections. I would go as far as to say that this really does feel just about as good as things like a BMW X7 with an air suspension, a Mercedes GLS with an air suspension. It's really that good, and that's a very high praise. Now, of course, there is also the sport mode as well, so I might go ahead and toggle it into that, so we can see, kind of how it has that adaptability as well.
So kind of checking the athleticism of this model, this is definitely going to be very comfort focused. I think this is kind of the biggest difference probably between the suspension tuning of this and, say the German rivals, like Mason was saying. The ride quality is just as comfortable in terms of the balance, like performance and comfort. Definitely that's going to go towards the Germans, because they actually manage to have more athleticism, better control with the body as you go around corners and things like that, and also have the great ride quality. This is going to have a lot more body roll as you go around the corners. Steering is really light, but again, some people will prefer that. I like a little bit more feel to the steering, but overall, it is a nice experience. And again, this road is just
Horrible.
awful, and it really is doing a fantastic job of isolating out all these imperfections.
May I also add that these seats are incredibly comfortable. The massage function is also very good. I actually went in this menu right here. I hope you can see it on the screen right now, and there are tons of different modes of massage. I have, all my different settings for how firm I want it, and I really like that it's, in here in the screen right in front of me. It's super easy to adjust, and I also have a button to physically turn it on the seat. I don't have to go through a bunch of menus to turn it on. All right, and let's go ahead and get a sound level reading. We have it on fan speed 1. 53.7 decibels is what we are looking at, going approximately 55 miles per hour, I believe.
Exactly, 55
Okay,
miles
well,
an
there
hour.
you go. Okay.
80 kilometers.
Yeah, there you go. And that is a very good sound level reading, considering that we are here in California, and this road is, pretty, I'd say, very close to what we normally test out in Kentucky. As far as how it compares to some of the other flagship rivals, we can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. It's not going to be the very quietest option in the segment, but certainly that's not a bad reading whatsoever. And I did also notice that we have like dual pane glass to really give you that quiet, luxurious experience in here. All right, let's get into our slam dunk and air ball. Drew, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the slam dunk of this Li Auto L9?
That's definitely got to be like the overall luxury and technology. They've really just packed in a tremendous amount of stuff, and you've already seen that throughout this video.
Yeah. On the airball side of things, what we are going to say is that we do, for the most part, really like the drive experience. It's very comfortable, so if that's something that you like, you won't be bothered by this. But if you really want a best of everything type of SUV where, like, you have good driving dynamics on a back road and that type of thing, the Germans still do that quite a bit better than this model. And now let's discuss pricing for the Li Auto. Now, we haven't mentioned it just yet, but as you would expect, this might undercut the German rivals by a significant amount. And it is for sale in other markets such as China and Europe right now. It starts at around a mid-$50,000 price point, and for a fully loaded example like this one, we're sitting at around $62,000 if you were to translate that to US dollars. Now, as far as how that compares to an X7 or a GLS, that certainly is significantly cheaper. Those vehicles don't even start at that price point, much less with all the features that you have on this model. Now, if you're looking to buy any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. And guys, that's going to be it for our first in-depth review of the Li Auto L9. This, of course, is a very cool vehicle. I'm so glad we are able to show you what this is like, especially for those viewers that are actually able to buy this right now. Now, if you enjoyed watching this very unique review, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. We cover literally all types of cars. Now, if you're already part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.